Yes, I am here early. Just to give some people time to get in before we start in about 7 minutes. But in that time, I'm going to do a little bit of setup, if you don't mind. Got a little bit of time to kill, but make yourselves at home, get comfy, come on in. Pull up a chair. Okay, yeah, that's how I'm doing it. Okay, okay, okay. How's everyone doing so far? Let me know if you can hear me pretty good. If I need to speak up a bit, I will try to do that. Not much of a loud person by nature, but I will attempt it. Excuse me. 10, 1, and 4. Okay. I need to figure out formulas. Gonna have to figure that out. Put on do not disturb on my phone, maybe. I wonder if I can do that. Hold on. 'Cause- Okay, let's see what that does. Let's see what that does. Okay. All right, we got 5 more minutes. People are strolling in. B minus K. This is going to be the sum, right? Yeah, equals sum of this. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Hello, hello, welcome in, welcome in. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. We made it. We made it to the 15th. And I finished the PDF and I ordered a copy of it to be delivered to me. I feel like I am knocking it out of the park. paste. 6. And this is going to be 5. Okay. Oh, hopefully I didn't come on too early. I thought about that too. I was thinking, should I come on 5 minutes before and just give people 5 minutes to get in? I was gonna come on 15 minutes ago, but I wasn't sure if that would have been too early. So hopefully me coming on right now is okay. All right. Let's go. 30-second countdown. I will give a few more minutes after the top of the hour just because I know people know it was 10 a.m. and so I don't want to start exactly at 10 a.m. and throw people off. Do you know if there's a way to share this? Let me see. What does this button do? Copy link. Huh. Let me see if I can share this. Without any typos. Oh my god, of course the clip is of is of me taking a drink of water. Oh my god, terrible. I need to make note of that. Like if I share this, the clip is going to be like the first 5 seconds of me, and so I need to make sure I'm not doing anything ridiculous like drinking a sip of water, and that's the clip it decides to use in the image. All right, the room is filling up. Good morning, Jack. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully, you're not too far on the West Coast, so you're not up at 7 a.m. like I know some people on the West Coast will be doing. Good morning, good morning to all the people coming in. Hopefully, I've got exact. Oh, I would hope if I had my notes open so I knew what I'd be talking about. Sheesh. Here we go. Here's my agenda for the day. Let's do it like this so that I know what I've done and what I haven't done yet. Let's try to be organized about these things. I used to live in West Hollywood. Um, right up until we drove cross country during the pandemic, but that's where I was living with my wife and our two dogs. We were in West Hollywood. Well, hold on 1 second. Thank you, Peter. Um, oh, go have fun teaching a class. What class are you teaching? What subject? If you don't mind me asking. Uh, okay, so let's get going. I think. Everyone who's gonna show up has shown up, and if more people arrive, even better. Okay, so this is us celebrating the Top in Fiction Annual Recap of 2024, which was technically only half the year because we started in July, but boy, was it a packed year. Um, and I know you guys don't really get to see the breadth and the scope of just how packed the year was, which is why I wanted to kind of have this so that I could kind of share all of the, I don't want to say boring, but all of the nerdy numbers that I get to look at and I get to kind of analyze on my own on the side and just so that I know how it's going and what's going on, and now you guys can know. Um, Let me just move some windows you don't need to see out of the way. Oh, I'm gonna flip my camera around. Now I don't know how this is gonna look because I haven't tested it yet, but I kind of wanted to show you my monitor. So let's see if I'm able to do that and you guys are able to see clearly my screen. Okay, so let me sort of move some things out of the way and see how this will work. If you knew my setup, oh yes, I love stats. I'm a nerd for stats. So let's start with the PDF, which doesn't look too bad. So I will, let me move my camera over and show you guys what the PDF looks like. Now you guys will get this PDF. You don't need to worry about my gaming stuff down there. You guys will get this PDF. Is this gonna fall forward? Please don't fall forward. I'm worried my camera is gonna fall forward. You guys will get this PDF after we do this. I'm going to send an email which will have this PDF and you guys can download it as you will or as you want. But so this is covering basically the entire year of 2024. And so the second page we've got here is our lovely table of contents. I put a little key down here, um, which, oh, oh no, I couldn't. Never mind. So these are clickable links over here. So we've got all of these genres here, and then there is a section of other genres where there was basically maybe one or two. So it didn't get like its own separate name here, but so everything is here that you need, and you can just click to it and easily get to that page. And just a reminder, this is 65 pages, technically 63 since I'm not counting the cover page and the last page. But I wrote a little introduction here. I won't read it verbatim. You guys can read it on your own when you get it. But I have a little intro, and then we go right into what I shared a while ago with you guys, which was the directory of writers. So here's a directory. I would have loved, loved, loved to have made every single one of these a clickable link that would go right back to your profile page, but that would have just taken too long because believe it or not, there were 350 plus names here. So in a different world, if I had more time and I could spend nothing but time on this, I totally would have done that. But unfortunately, I did not have that kind of time. But at least you can all see your names here all together. These are all of the people who have been featured at least once in the last 6 months or the last 6 months of last year. So now we get on to what I'm calling the list. Now I want to be very specific about what this means because I know a lot of people are going to be wondering, or a few of you might be wondering where your submission is. And I will make this more clear when I do this again at the end of this year. I did not include your submission when you went into the Google form and you had to fill out what your favorite story was of 2024. If you put a story that was already featured in one of the weekly or monthly recaps, I did not include it. I excluded it because you already have a medallion. So the point of this, and I probably didn't make that as clear as I should have, was only to feature a story that you felt was your favorite that hadn't already been featured yet. Now, if your favorite is one that happened to have been featured already, great. Then you didn't need to fill out the form because you already are a part of the entire overall annual recap. And again, I will make that more clear in the future. Um, Something else is if you are no longer on Substack, if you took your story down, or if your story is behind a paywall, I removed it from being put here because I'm trying to feature stories that anyone who clicks on it and goes to that page can find it, can read it, etc. So there's a couple of other criteria that got the stories removed, and in the email you will see that I think there was four different reasons why you may not see it because I originally got 183, I think. So there was about 30 stories out of the 180 submissions that had to be removed. Some of them might have been a little too politically leaning based on the title, subject matter might have been too extreme, and so I had to take it upon myself to get rid of them. But in any event, so this is how I figured out a way to make this as clean and as easily organized as possible. I did it based on the genre. So you can click at the in the index, you can click and go right to it. So if you don't particularly want to read climate fiction or you don't particularly want to read humor, but you like dystopian, it's all here. And what I did was I color coded it. So just jumping back very quickly so you can see the key down here. So if it's pink, it's poetry. If it's this blue, it's micro or flash fiction. If it's yellow, it's a short story. If it's this green, it's a short serial. And if it's red, it's a serial. You may need to jump back to the key every now and then if you forget this, but that's why there's all of these lovely little colors. So all of the climate fiction stories that are here are all short stories. And the clickable part is this. So the title is clickable to the story, but I also added that over here, where it says the name of the writer and their publication name, this will take you to that person's profile. So I was able to do that for at least these 150. I didn't do it for the full 358, but I did it for the 150 that are here. So you can either go to their story or you can go to their page if you like their story. Um, so that's here, and I will just flip through these very quickly. There are several pages of fantasy. Free verse is basically poetry, so I like to just put poetry all together. So that's all poetry. We've got some horror, we've got some lit fic, um, and I'm just going to scroll by these. So here are the other genres where there was only really one of it, so I didn't give it its own like section, like thriller. um, but some of those are here as well that you can check out and read. And now this is the part where I literally just took the pages that I had already been sending you every week and I collected them all together. So all of these that you've seen before, they're all still clickable as they have been. Um, so they should be good to go. And there's all 25 of them are right here. Um, so if you are ever in need of something to read, trust me, you will have more than you asked for with this PDF. Then what I did was, what you guys have not seen, but you will start seeing this year, is I created the same style of PDF but for the monthly recaps. So every single monthly recap now has its own PDF. So if you were featured in the monthly recap, you are here. And I am sorry to say, for some reason, they are not clickable links. That's worrying me. I might need to go back and fix that before I send this email. I thought they were all clickable links. But in any event, so here are the uh, monthly recaps, which I will have to go back and check. Good Lord. None of them. Wait. Okay. So 5 is clickable and 6. So I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So here are is that. And then I did a lovely acknowledgement where I wanted to thank some people, and I will shout some people out right now, whether they're in the room or not. But I want to thank Meg Olders specifically. She helped recreate and make the medallion what it is today, which is an awesome looking uh, medallion that I'm seeing everywhere. Thank you so much to everyone who's been putting it alongside their story. Um, that's what I wanted. I was hoping that that's what people would do with them. Um, I want to thank the six brave top and fiction ambassadors who, when I came to them and asked, would you please be an ambassador? They said, sure. They said, yes. They were happy to do it. They enjoyed doing it. Um, if you don't remember who they were Hannah Delaney, Essie Reed, Claudia Beffu, Meg Olders, Bridget Riley, and Daniel O'Donnell, who I want to also give another thanks because um, he received the highest honor from Top End Fiction um, by being the most valued writer for Top End Fiction, which I liked creating that and coming up with that. The most valued is not the most valuable, but he was just valued a lot because he was featured the most, um, not only by myself but by the ambassadors as well. So I just want to thank him. I want to thank all the people who put their trust in me with when I came up with, top and fiction disruptions, um, especially the people who did the Substack zone, who allowed me to create that post. And, that gave us a good boost of new subscribers. And then we did the dark tidings. So thank you to everyone who just put their trust in top and fiction and let us help you, and in doing so help top and fiction. And then I have a lovely list of some of the things that are coming in 2025. And there's a couple of things that are coming here that you guys already know. We've got an increase of the weekly issues. So instead of 15 featured stories, there are 20. Um, there is the live that I do every Monday now. So I've done two so far, and every Monday I'm on at 10 a.m. and I read out the titles and the author and the publication name for all 20 featured stories. Um, let's see, there's now the monthly recap will also have its own live and it will have its own PDF, just like the weeklies. Um, there are new medallions for 2025, which you've already seen. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the TIF scholarship, which I'm hoping that, and this is the last page that you'll see there where it says thank you for reading. So I'm hoping that we get some people to donate. And what I've done is, so when you get this email with the PDF, I want to, let me flip my camera around real quick to kind of discuss this. So one thing I did with the email is I created a button, or I should say, um, several options where when you click on it, you can decide if you want to just download. Um, hold on one second. Work happens to be wanting my attention all of a sudden. Okay, so where you can decide if you want to just download the PDF, which it is 100% free, you do not have to pay for it at all, or if you want to donate and help towards the TIF scholarship or towards the TIF rebrand, which I'm still hoping to do, um, you have the option of giving 5, 10, 15, and what will happen is when you donate, it will send you an email with the PDF attached to it. But like I said, the PDF is already in the email. You do not have to pay. But if you want to donate, you can donate and you'll get this same exact PDF. Just it'll just be sent to you again, basically in your inbox after you donate um, by clicking the button. Okay, so something else I wanted to show you guys is I want to show you what the pretty medallion is that the list, the people in the list where it's color coded and stuff, those 100 and I think it's 152 people, they will be getting a medallion, and it will be um, a bit different because I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to stand out. So I want to show you guys. I should have had that open already. What that will look like. So let's pull it up, shall we? And thank you so much. I see so many more people coming in. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Leron. Hi. Now, is it Retta or Rita? I want to make sure that I pronounce your name properly. I'm assuming it's Retta, but you please let me know. Do let me know because you are one of my like favorite people because we watch the same kinds. Rita. Okay, got it. Rita. We watch the same kind of mysteries and stuff. And I will, as an aside, just to you, Rita, I yesterday for the first time I watched the first episode of the first season of Miss Scarlet and the Duke. I've been meaning to watch that for a while, and I just have not had the time. But I finally got to watch at least the first episode of the first season. Loved it. I'll keep watching it. I love that time period of Jack the Ripper and all of that. But I won't get into that because it'll distract me. Uh, where am I going? Oh yes, I want to show you guys the medallion for. Okay, so this is. I'm going to turn the screen around again very quickly. I'm going to flip the screen. Let's put this back where it was. Let's flip. Okay, so this is essentially what the medallion is going to look like for those who are um, on the list. So there's 152. So there will be you'll be able to download yours um, if you're in that section of the PDF where it's the list. Um, you will be able to download your PDF in the email that I send out. It's pretty cool. It's a take and a play on the color that everyone chose. This color, which I love, by the way, and I'm glad that I let the community vote and they picked this color. This is the color that people chose, so it's the color that we're going with this year in terms of what the medallions will look like, etc. And at the end of the year, there will be another set of like 3 or 4 colors to choose from for the next year. Um, and so I think we're going to just keep that tradition alive, and I will incorporate the color in both the annual recap medallions and the new medallions in the new year. So now let's look at some nerdy stuff, shall we? Because I know you guys are probably wondering, how does she do it? How do I keep it organized? How am I able to just, know what's going on? Um, for this. And honestly, I'm a spreadsheets person. I have spreadsheets for days. Um, and so, hold on one second. I didn't do that yet. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm keeping to my agenda. So, what I have is my master tracker, and this is what you're looking at right now. It's just a series of numbers, as you can see right now, but it all, trust me, makes sense. Let me tip this again. If you knew what this setup was right now that I'm holding this up, you would be laughing. Okay, so this is my breakdown. So this is something that I actually just recently started doing, like maybe halfway through last year. So about 3 to 4 months in, I was like, you know what? I want to know how many, you know, um, poetry, how many poems. Really, I did this for the poetry because I wanted to get a larger number of poetry. I feel like poetry is not uh, as heavily represented as I would like. So the reason why I did this is so that I can track, am I finding enough poetry to put every week? Um, but if I'm going to track poetry, I might as well track them all, right? So just looking at what we did over 6 months, I can tell you that we had 576 um, stories. 447 of those received a medallion. Now, the reason why it's so much less is because if you were an honorable mention, honorable mentions did not get a medallion unless they were featured in the monthly recap. But there were 129 featured or honorable mentions. And then I can look and see how many we had of every single thing. So the smallest number, which I'm still working on trying to now increase, are comics and cartoons. And then we've got poetry where we had uh, 60 poems featured. And then the next, actually, short serials. So we have 40 short serials. We had 60 um, poems. We had, and then the top tier are we had 116 micro and flash fiction, and we had 144 different, well, not different, but 144 serials were featured. So sometimes some serials were featured more than once. Um, and then we had 210 short stories, which is always, I think, going to be number one and going to have the most representation of short stories. And so you see right here, I've already started on 2025. I just started this today, so it doesn't look as um, neat and tidy as the others, but I've already got the first week and the second week, and we're on week number three. So this will get filled in uh, at this weekend. Um, let's see, what else shall we look at down here? So I've also got this, which is where I'm just creating a list of writers. So this will get, I'm going to do start another column. This is going to be 2024, and this will be 2025. And then I'll probably start looking at who was featured last year that may not have been featured yet this year, and see, is it because they stopped writing? Is it because for some reason I haven't picked them up on the radar? They haven't, put their link in the Friday emails. What's the reason? Because I want to make sure if you were, writing last year and you're keeping it up, that I got you this year. Um, and I'll do a bunch of formulas, which I'll show you what those formulas look like by looking at last year. So here's last year, where it's just, you see all these colors. Now, what do these colors tell me? These colors over here tell me when a person's been mentioned more than once. And so I have a formula. Um, and essentially, if they were mentioned more than once, they're green. If they're mentioned more than twice, orange, more than three times red, and then more than four times purple. So that's how I was easily able to look in here and just sort by color. And I will sort by all the purples. And I'm like, okay, here are all the people who've been mentioned. Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to sort by color. Did not mean to sort by color. Hold on. I meant to filter by color. Filter by color. Okay, so here's all the people who have been mentioned, and then I can look at their names here. And I went literally one by one to say, okay, to see who actually of these were mentioned way more. And when you look at Daniel, I won't go to each person, but he was mentioned the most 8 times. So that's how he ended up getting the highest honors. But and this is where I'm able to, I can basically see whatever I want to see. Um, but this is essentially my Bible. This is where I go to fill in create the PDFs, to create the medallions, to create the post. What I do is, if I stretch this window out here, I come over to the issue number and I will change it to, let's say, issue number one. And it will just show me issue number one. And what I do is I copy and paste all the information you give me in the which is why, and I want to say, I think it was Claudia, so thank you to Claudia again for this, who created the template. The template is what helps me to put all the information in this Excel spreadsheet, which makes it a lot easier for me to organize, etc. And so I keep it here. I have the links here that are clickable. I make sure the links are clean, so I remove any um, extra bits that are at the end of URLs sometimes when they're, they attach a tracker. Oh, and speak of the person who I was just talking about, just enter the room. Um, so yeah, so this is this is for last year. I've already got this year. So here's this year's, here's week number two. Um, and I'm already starting to work and I'm already starting to pull. So let's talk a little bit about um, where these come from. They don't all come from um, the recommendations that come through on Fridays. And the reason for that is because I'm on notes a lot. And because I'm on notes a lot, I see what you guys are saying. I see what you guys are sharing. So it's while it's important that you put your stories in the Friday email, it's also important that you share your work in Substack notes because I'm watching you and I'm following and I'm watching other people too. So if you restack, if you share, I see it and I've been doing this long enough where I can recognize a name. And if I don't recognize a name, then I will come back here. I'll be like, okay, did I feature this person yet? No, they're writing fiction. Let me feature them this week. Um, and so a lot of the time, I try to make it where it's probably a 2-to-1 split. So for every two stories that come from the Friday post, one of them will probably come from me following you um, and seeing what you're doing. And a lot of times I'm screenshotting. So I'm on my phone, so I can't show you this, but my phone pictures has a lot of screenshots where I will, because I'm using Substack notes. Usually, I'm viewing it on my phone, and I'll see someone sharing a story that's fiction. I will take a quick screenshot of it, and then the next time I'm at my desk, I will look that person up and see like have they written anything recently. Um, and that's why a lot of the times I'll get a lot of comments from people who are so shocked that they were found. This is how I find them because I know I'm not going to find them by them recommending themselves in top and fiction because unless they know it exists, how could they let me know that they exist, right? Um, so if we look at week three, I've already got stories here. How could I possibly have stories here, right? If I haven't even done the Friday post yet in 2 days, it's because I'm taking the time to find people and add them here. And this is how I'm constantly finding new stories. It's from using Substack notes or from you guys sharing them. So far, I've done, 2 weeks and I have not, there's been no duplicates yet. So I'm going to see how many weeks can I go without mentioning someone more than once, meaning I'm finding brand new people to feature every single time, which was my goal when I did 2024. I did 2024 and I got all the way to um, week 26 and look at week 26. All of this is white. They've all been mentioned for the first time. That's always my goal. My goal is to find people who have never been mentioned before, all the way to the bitter end. And all of this white are all people who were mentioned for the first time. Um, exactly, Leron. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people to notice what's going on here by putting them in here. And so I just want to, let people know that this is my goal. Um, while I am looking for work that's good, obviously I don't want to feature stories that are not good. I am not a good metric for that because I have certain tastes that not everyone has, right? So I'm in an effort not to be biased, I try to feature as many people as possible, regardless of what genre they write and what format they write in. If it's fiction, it's good enough for me. And unless it's blatantly obvious that it's something that's trying to demean a group or a person, whether I like that person or not, um, I'm just not going to put that if it's got derogatory language in the title, if anything like that, I'm not going to feature it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to prohibit that person from sharing themselves and promoting themselves in the comments, but I'm not going to then share that. That's just my stance. However, I'm always looking for people who I have not featured yet. And so when I see big swaths of white like this, I know it was a good week because it was a week where I was able to just find nothing but new names, nothing but new people, and that excites me. Do I love that, people like AP Murphy, Scott McLeod, KM McKellar, Jack Fitzgerald are mentioned more than once? Sure. Like they should be mentioned more than once. They're putting in the work. They're here every week. They're writing their little hearts out. Ben, Thomas, all the SE Reed, all these people. But there are so many guys. There are hundreds upon hundreds of you guys who are out here grinding and feeling like no one sees you. And I want them to know that I see them. And I want them to know that not only do I see them, but I want the thousand readers of top and fiction to see them as well. And so, yes, I don't want anyone to feel like they shouldn't share on the recommendations on Friday anymore because they're not being chosen every week. I want to be very clear. Yes, it's important to be in the Monday issue because you get the PDF, you get the medallion, you get the special recognition. But don't think that people don't circle back and look at that recommendations email on Friday to find other work. It would be a, against your best interests not to put your work in that Friday email every week. It's really important. People are looking at that. Don't get overlooked because you're not putting it in there just because I may not be selecting you every Monday. I'm getting 50 plus recommendations. I'm only featuring 20, right? So you got to give me some leeway here. I know a lot of people have been DMing me and, sending me messages on the side, being frustrated that they're sharing their work and they're not getting featured. I can't select you every week. Are you writing a story every week? Yes. I love it. I'm writing a story every day. Feature it, put it in the Friday email. I guarantee in the Friday thing, I guarantee you people are still going back. People are going back. I am getting people commenting all the way back to like week 11 and to that recommendations post. Like people are going back to find stuff. So you don't want to be left out when that post gets closed. You want to put your story in there so people will find it. Um, because I want everyone, I want not only everyone to realize just how many there are, but I want you guys to realize that it's important. Um, so let me flip this camera back. Okay, so that's a couple of a bit of the nerdy stuff. If anyone has any questions for me, I did say I would do some Q&A. So by all means, let me know some Q&A because I only have two more things to talk about, and they both have to do with TIFF Presents. Um, so if you've got any questions for me, all the people in the room, I am more than happy if I can to answer them. If you have any suggestions, concerns, I am open to it. Oh, it'll give me a second to take a sip of water. All right. Oh, the yearly reviews. Did I show that? Did I show you guys the annual recap list here? That was okay. Let me go over the pitfalls of what happened. Let me put the camera back on the screen because I didn't show you guys this. So I'm putting together the annual recap and I'm thinking, oh, I got this. Like, I've got my spreadsheets. I know what I'm doing. It's going to be easy peasy, right? Well, initially, the first thing I said was, if you've already been featured, then I'm not going to, then I was going to exclude you, right? So the issue began where I was like, okay, how hard can it be? I'm going to take the post title from here. Um, and I'm going to put together a little formula that will then take the post title from here, and if there's a match, then it will tell me and I will exclude it. Well, it turns out some of them were not written exactly the same. They were written slightly differently. And my brain, I tend to remember things very clearly. So there would be stories where the title wouldn't exactly match the way it was in my report versus in how you filled it out in the form. And but I would look at it and say, no, this story is so familiar. I'm sure it was featured. So I would go back to the other tab. I would look it up. I would find it. There would be a difference in the capital letters. There would be a difference in. It was usually with the serials because I'm recording it a certain way for myself, and you guys wouldn't know that I'm using this format. So the way you list it is going to be different from the way I list it. Anyway, so I created this duplicates column. So anything that had an NA, it meant that it was not featured before, and that's what I did. And then there was the issue. Another issue I found was with the links. So some of the links may not have been working. Some of the links may have been pointing to the wrong place. It was a beast, and I definitely did take a lot of notes for myself. And I think a lot of it had nothing to do with what you guys did. It had to do with how I asked the questions for you to fill out. So I'm going to make sure that next year, or this year, at the end of this year, when I have you guys fill out the form, it's going to be a lot different, in order to make this process a lot easier for myself because um, it was crazy. All right. So, but thank you for asking. Um, DW, I appreciate it. Jack, so the difference between a short serial and a serial is sort of like what Julie is saying. So if it's something, and one of the rules of thumb that I use, but I know a lot of people um, probably don't differentiate parts from episodes and chapters. But usually, if you're putting something into parts, you're usually not doing 56 parts of a whole, right? You might be doing only 4 parts. And so I find the key word for me is if I see someone is telling me the title of a story and it's part one, in my mind, that's a short serial because you're only probably going to have 4 parts to that. And so if there's only 4 parts to your story, but you had to chop it up because it's so long, that's a short serial. Um, but if you're releasing something and before it's completed, it's 56 episodes or it's 12 episodes or it's, 32 chapters, then that's a serial if it's going on for a really, really long time. Now, how many parts before it becomes no longer a short serial but a serial, I will leave that up to you. I mean, I would say anything, because you could have something that's 5 parts but 100,000 words, right? So, um, but that's usually what I'm looking for, where it's something that's going to be a limited number of parts that's going to make the whole thing done, and you're going to be able to the only reason you did it in parts is usually because it was so long you had to chop it up to release it. um, and so that's the keyword that I look for. But yeah, you could go by length. You could say, something that's a novella or shorter, but it's not a short story, but you're releasing it again in parts over a course of time, then that would be a short serial versus a serial is something that's just going to be going on for sometimes an indeterminate length of time. Um, or it is determined, but it's like a bunch of chapters or a bunch of episodes. Okay, let's see. I have a question. Last year, there were several attempts from various people to find a way to elevate fiction on Substack. Why do you think TIFF was the one that ultimately succeeded? Um, Honestly, I think it has to do with timing. So timing, I think, is everything, and a little bit of understanding of what the community wanted. It's one thing to say, I'm going to solve the problem. It's another thing to solve it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone along the way, which was my intention, right? Um, there are no winners or losers here with this. There's no pay to play with this. Um, it I did this at the height of my anger. right? It was at a moment where everyone, that's all we were talking about last summer is why is the algorithm within the discovery for Substack, specifically fiction, so messed up. And I started to write my own note where I was going to join the conversation of, yeah, it's really messed up. This really annoys me. And I stopped myself and I said, well, why am I adding to the noise? Let me see if I can solve it. Like, what is the problem here? And so I thought of, top in fiction. I looked it up to see if it was available. It was. I took it and then I said, okay, how do I make this easier on myself? How do I help the community? What am I looking for? What is missing? Um, and I knew that it really was just a place where it was just fiction. Like that was the real crux of it. It had to me, I wouldn't have been upset if their version of what I'm doing was the top 10 most popular fiction writers if they were fiction writers, right? So it had nothing, it wasn't a popularity contest so much as a content contest where the content was not equal to what it was promising. So while I'm not paying attention too much to the people who are here, who are popular, who do already have hundreds of thousands, they don't need my help, obviously, but I have featured um, those writers here. Tom Cox, for instance, is on my list. He was featured once. Because they are writing fiction, so I can't ignore that. You know what I mean? So, but they don't need my help every week the way people who've never been featured before and have under several hundred thousand followers need. Um, but the point of this is not to um, highlight the most dedicated or the best writer on fiction or the one that everyone's reading or the one that everyone's saying has the best um, horror writing experience. It's just to give you fiction. That's it. Because you have no place else where you can go and find fiction and be 100% assured that fiction will be here. I want you to know that top in fiction is here. Like you don't need to go to their messed up algorithm to find it. And I think it was immediately after I did that, at least for me. I mean, I don't know if you guys are finding this, but there is less, I feel, discourse and argument about it. And I think it's because top and fiction exists. Um, and I think that's why it succeeded, is because I'm not trying to. If I only pick, let's use this as an example, why some of the other places, which we won't mention what those other places are that didn't work, but if I only featured people who, for one thing, if I opened up paid subscriptions and I said, well, the only way I'm featuring you is if you were a monthly subscriber, or if I only picked the 10 people who you and I both know are out here in the trenches and everyone knows and everyone is already reading their work, if I only featured those people, then yeah, top and fiction wouldn't have worked. Because what reason do the people who I showed you their names, who are all in white here because they've only been featured once, what reason would they have to care about top and fiction if we are the problem now, which is yes, we're only featuring fiction, but we're only featuring the most popular of fiction and the most popular of people. And if you're not those, then you're not featured here. That's why I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible by featuring everyone and anyone, regardless of size, regardless of um, level of quality writing. If you're inconsistent, right, then you're probably not going to get featured again because you're going to drop off and I'm not going to see your work being shared, etc. And I do make a point to feature people who the whole community knows, because I don't want the community to think that I'm intentionally ostracizing, Brian Reindell and Simon K. Jones, and I can name S.E. Reed, I can name all the people, John T. All of those people. They're going to get featured here probably more than once because they are doing amazing work and they should get recognized for that. as regularly as everyone else, but I want everyone else to feel it too. Like I want to raise up all the boats. I don't just want to be the tide. I want to be bringing the boats and like bringing all the boats. Let those other people be the tide. I'm bringing the boats. Like you guys are gonna rise the tide, and I'm gonna bring all the boats that are gonna get risen up because of what's happening. Um, okay, so Sandalore, I thought about that, and I asked this question. I want to say maybe 4 months in. I'd have to go back to my notes and find it, but I did ask that question. I said, I wanted to ask the community, well, how would you feel if I did exactly what top and fiction essentially means, which is I let the community tell me what their favorite is, and I created an algorithm, or I create not an algorithm, that's the wrong word, a formula that would tell me which is the most popular story of that week, such as um, you leave a like, you leave a comment, and the stories that are shared in Friday's post, it would have been more work for me. So I'm kind of glad that the community was against it. But my idea was to take those stories and then go into each one of them and pull the information on a specific date and time for all of them, of how many likes they got, how many comments they got, how many restacks they got. And there would have been a point system assigned to it, and then however the points fell on there, I would have then it would have been like a top 10. Like I would have numbered you. I would have given you a number and said, okay, here's number one, number two, all the way through to 15 or 20 or whatever the case may be. And so you knew that the number one was the most read that week and got the most whatever, and then number whatever didn't. Um, but the issue with that is, again, there are more people here, and I don't know this to be true because I haven't ingratiated myself in all the genres and all the things, but from my funnel and my tunnel vision of what Substack is showing me, to me, everyone here who's fiction prefers horror over any other genre. But you know why that is? Because that's who I'm following and that's who I'm interacting with, right? So in my tunnel vision of what I'm being shown, that's my truth. But I know that that's not the overall truth. For all I know, there might be more romance. There might be so much romance conversation happening, or historical fiction conversation happening, or climate fiction conversation happening. And I'm just not following all of those people. And so this year, I'm actually making a point that I want to follow as many people in all of the different genres as I possibly can, in the hopes that I can absorb into my feed all of those different conversations for all those different genres. And God forbid that I should make the ignorant assumption that that the majority of the fiction readers and writers on Substack are horror just because I happen to be in that genre, right? I need to make a point to understand there are romance people here, there are dystopian people here, there are fantasy people here that deserve that. And if I were to do the number system, it might sway a certain way that's not as accurate as I would like it to be. And I don't want to ostracize one person, let alone an entire group, just because this is, this is my what I see and what I like. Um, Let me just scroll back a bit. There's been some um, conversation here. Okay, hold on. It's like kindergarten where everyone's work goes on the wall, and if you did your best, you get a sticker. Right. And on that note, Leron, I want to say, and this is the last thing I wanted to mention actually, which is the Top in Fiction Presents, which is a big thing that I'm trying to unveil here. And I'm starting with Valentine's Day, which I mentioned on Monday's Top in Fiction Live, that romance is not my favorite genre at all, which is why I think it's amazing. And I'm so excited that that's the first one that Top in Fiction is doing. It's going to be Valentine's Day, because I want to, try to include everyone, not to. give too much away, but there's going to be one coming up in April for historical fiction that Top and Fiction is going to be helping with. Um, and so, people are coming to me, and I want that. I want to be open to all the genres because I want the writers who are bold enough to create a community, to create a collaboration, to come to me and specifically Top and Fiction to help the way that the Substack zone happened. I reached out in that instance, but now I want people to come to me and say, "Hey, I want to do this thing. Can Top and Fiction do the heavy lifting and put a post together like you did for the Substack zone so that we can just do what we do, which is just write the fiction and then you can just release the post." Hell yeah, that's what we're here for. And so Topic Fiction Presents is actually the first time we're going to be sharing actual stories, not just pointing you to the people who are writing it and saying, go over there. We're going to actually give you some fiction as well to read while you're here. Um, but there are no winners and losers here. We're picking our favorite. We're not picking the best. We're picking the ones we liked, but everyone is going to get shown. Everyone's going to get a seat at the table. You're going to get to decide for yourself which ones you liked, but we're going to tell you which ones we liked, and we're going to put those up. Um, okay, let me keep scrolling here. Um, Sandra, I want to lift up everyone. If you guys have one for, oh yeah, I was gonna say, actually, but Claudia's here so she can say it because I don't want to release, um, tell everyone's business because some people are already in the trenches of creating their things and some people aren't. So one of the things I did want to mention with Top and Fiction Presents, there are some that people are coming to me and they want to do it, and so I'm like, totally. And so, am I doing two in April? I have to go back and ask this person. Theirs is actually, it's either in March or in April, but so there might be two things happening in April with Top and Fiction Presents. But what's happening is I'm trying to differentiate when it's going to be Top and Fiction Presents versus Top and Fiction Disruptions. Those are two different things. Disruptions are if someone else, for instance, Claudia, I'm going to shout you out here, came to me about doing a climate fiction thing, and so that one will likely be a TIFF disruption because she's heading the whole thing up, and I'm just going to be a support. However, TIFF can be with getting that together, but it will likely be a disruption. Versus what's happening Valentine's Day, which is a TIFF presents because I'm doing the heavy lifting. I'm putting it together. I'm bringing in the people to participate, and it's going to be open to anyone. It's not going to be specific. Like Claudia is probably reaching out to climate fiction writers, and she knows who they are more than me. I mean, I know insofar as whoever's been featured and has let me know that they're writing climate fiction, but there's probably so many others out there that I'm not even aware of that she's aware of. And so she's going to go off and do that, and that's great. The person who's doing historical fiction, I won't shout them out, um, they know who the historical fiction people is. They actually came to me to ask, let me see your list, compare it to mine, and see if I missed anyone, right? So they're out there doing their thing. That's going to be a TIFF disruption as well. But there are going to be some that are going to be TIFF presents. And I want to let you know which ones those are because I'm really excited about it. In the middle of the night, I got a message from someone who said they're more than willing to help with one of them. So I was so excited that that's going to go down. And we've got a couple of sponsors, we've got a couple of hosts for them. Trying to reach out to the right people to get these off the ground. Again, the idea of this is that Top and Fiction is going to now enter the realm of sharing actual fiction, not just giving you a library and a list of fiction to go off and find for yourself, but we're actually going to feature some here, um, which I'm really excited to do. So the first one you guys know in February is going to be for Valentine's Day. The theme is Return to Sender. That is open. You can enter it right now. I will be sure to every Monday from now until the end of the submissions window to give you the link so that you guys can go and and submit yours. I want it to be written during this 2 weeks. I don't want you to pull something that you've got from like years ago. I want it to be new and fresh and not been seen yet. Um, so I will make sure to share that as often as possible. But a couple of ones coming up. Um, One that I really want to do because it's the only Friday the 13th that's happening this year, and it's in my birthday month, and I love horror, is June. Friday the 13th this year is in the month of June. So something I'm going to do, TIFF Presents, is going to happen for Friday the 13th. There will be more to come. I'm going to give a theme, the whole bit, but TIFF Presents is going to do something for Friday the 13th. Um, the one that I'm the most excited about, and it's really early to be telling you guys this right now because it's in November and we're only in January. So while I hate to jump the gun, I think you guys will appreciate this because, and I'm going to try not to get emotional about it, but it's going to be a really good one. And I want to do a TIFF Day of Thanks. And so, because November is Thanksgiving, so I want that to be where everyone is going to write a story, oh, not write a story, but share one that they were so thankful to have discovered and to have read. So this is going to be one of those where you're going to make a recommendation, but it's not going to be a recommendation of your own work, of someone else's. So I want you to, and that's going to be how you give thanks to that person for having written that story that you read sometime in this calendar year. Um, and when I came up with that idea, last year. I was so excited. I wanted to do it last year, but it was too last minute, and I wanted to really let that sink in and soak in and have a full year of top and fiction existing for that to be something. But I'm so excited for the TIFF Day of Thanks. Um, that's going to be coming this November. So make sure you guys are writing all your stories and everything because you could be thankful for any genre, anything out there that was been fiction this year. So um, I'm really looking forward to that. We are going to do a TIFF Secret Santa in December. I went to the person who did the one this year, and I asked her. I said, "Hey, would you mind if I did a Secret Santa?" Because initially, when she asked the question, I think it was I don't want to say the name incorrectly. uh, oh yeah, Emily. So it was Emily who did the Secret Santa last year, and we did the disruption for her, um, which was the fiction gift exchange. And so it's going to be something similar to that, but it's going to actually be a Secret Santa. There will be all the names in the hat. It will be the same format that she did, but she's totally fine with me letting Top and Fiction take that over as a TIFF presents. So there will be that coming. But if you guys, writing in any specific genre, I would love one for fantasy. If someone came to me and said they wanted to do, um, they don't want to do a TIFF disruption because that means that you're taking on the bulk of it. Like I'm expecting you to do all the work. But if you've got something, and I'm trying to find something for all the genres, I'm starting with romance. I'm making sure I'm including um, historical fiction is going to be up in here. We're going to do I'm doing plenty of horror because I love horror. Like I'm doing for Halloween. I've already got one. I've hopefully already got the hosts for that, and I've already got the sponsors for that. So October is set in terms of what's happening for Halloween because horror is my jam. But there are 12 here. Come to me if you've got something. If you don't want to do all the heavy lifting yourself, so you don't want it to be a disruption, let's see if maybe I can help you and I can do a TIFF Presents with it and we can work together and take on the heavy load 50-50. Um, one more thing I want to mention before I sign off, because I think I've been on here an hour now, is the TIFF ambassadors. So last year, I wanted to just ask people specifically who I knew were popular within the community. Um, and so I knew that they would be recognized, respected, etc. This year, I want to try something different because while, yes, I was able to get 6 people, it was actually a lot harder than you think because I got more no's than yeses, which I was and wasn't expecting at the same time. Um, it was surprising to me that I did get more no's than yes. And it is probably because it looks a lot harder than it actually is to put together. Um, and it really is not as hard as it looks. But all that aside, if you want to be a TIFF ambassador in 2025, please let me know. I'm going to try to just do 12 this year, one a month. Um, I was really hoping that I would be able to do more than one a month, but I understand people are busy. I understand people feel very serious about doing this and taking on that role with doing this. I do still want to keep it a secret if someone is a TIFF ambassador until the moment with which that happens. What I will say is, if you want to be a TIFF ambassador, I would prefer if it's someone who wants to come on camera with me, just because I'm doing the weekly thing now. So if you're a TIFF ambassador, it would be great if you could come on with me when I do it, to kind of be the person who reads the names and stuff. If you can't, or you don't feel comfortable, or if you'd rather, like, I guess, record yourself, whatever the case may be, we can talk about it, and try to figure that out. But um, I'm gonna just put the word out there. If you want to be a TIFF ambassador, send me a DM on Substack. Let's see if we can make that work. Otherwise, I am going to continue my personal campaign of, asking people. Oh, okay. And with that, I'm going to actually sign off here so that I can put the PDF together and send it to you guys in an email with this video that we just did of celebrating. I want to thank everyone. I mean, we almost hit 50 viewers here, which is kind of what I was hoping to do. Um, I hope I answered all of your questions. I think I did. And if you have any other questions, you can be sure to, like, send them to me at any time. I'm here going to be here every Monday now, so you can do that. Thank you so much to everyone who made the 6 months of 2024 amazing, and I'm so excited. You guys have no idea, to do a full 52 weeks um, this year. And again, if you are able to make any donations when I send this email, anything will help. I want to do the TIFF scholarship proud. I want to be able to give um, to people who need it, who are in the fiction community. I know I didn't talk much about the TIFF scholarship, but I want to be able to give people assistance and support financially, with maybe getting proofs, with maybe getting, being able to afford an ISBN, being able to afford um, you know, getting the software program of Scrivener, maybe being able to have a year subscription to Canva if they want to, create their book cover. Any number of those things. I want to be able to give a scholarship to as many people as possible, and any donations that you make is going to go towards that. And who knows what else? Maybe being able to. Oh, no, can't talk about that. Sorry. I almost slipped and said something I wasn't supposed to say. Okay, let me get off of here before I start revealing plans for like 2026 and beyond that I'm not supposed to talk about. But thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate it. Keep writing, keep reading, keep sharing. That's what Top and Fiction is all about, because as you know, fiction lives here.